Hello, good day everyone. So for today, we're going to discuss the derivatives of trigonometric, inverse trigonometric, exponential, and logarithmic functions. So for our today's lesson objectives, we have the following. Apply the differentiation rules in obtaining the derivative of trigonometric, inverse trigonometric, exponential, and logarithmic functions. Okay, so to recall, we have this basic derivative rules, yung constant rule natin, derivative of a constant is equal to 0. So derivative of pi, derivative of say 9,000, derivative of 1 billion, derivative of negative 1/2, those are all equal to 0. Okay? Yung constant multiple rule naman natin, every time we're getting the derivative, this is a derivative notation of this function, say constant of times f of x, we can just write the constant outside the differentiation operation. So constant times the derivative of f of x. So constant times f prime of x. Okay. And then for the power rule, we have the derivative of x to the n with respect to x. This will just be n x to the n minus 1. So we bring down the exponent and then subtract 1 from the exponent. Okay. And then we have the sum and difference rule. We can just combine these two together. Every time we're getting the derivative of a sum or difference, it's just like getting the sum or difference of their derivatives. So meaning pag plus on or minus yung nagse-separate sa mga terms natin, we can just apply the differentiation term by term. So i-differentiate lang natin term by term pagka sineseparate ng plus and minus, no? Kapag ka-product naman, we don't just parang distribute the differentiation process, no? So derivative of a product is not equal to the product of the derivatives, but instead, di ba, what we do is copy the first factor, which is this, and pair it with the derivative of the second, okay? Plus, so take note, derivative of a product is a sum, okay? Sum of two products actually. So ano yung second term natin or second product? The second factor, which is this, multiplied by the derivative of the first factor. Okay? And then for the quotient rule, we have the derivative of a quotient equal to a quotient also. Sabi natin last time, this is high, this is low. Ito yung ating formula. So it will be low d high, meaning denominator times derivative of the numerator, low derivative of the high, which is this, minus high the low, or high derivative of the low, this times derivative of this, which is this one, all over law squared. Again, that's low d high minus high d low over law squared. Okay. And then for the chain rule, we have the f of g of x, where we have a function inside another function. Okay. We first differentiate f. Yan, yung f function natin. Copying the g of x. So f prime of g of x. Okay. So as is muna si g of x. Okay. After getting the derivative of the f, no, saka natin i-differentiate, or we multiply it by the derivative of the inner function, which is the g prime of x. Okay, so that's it. Now for the derivatives of trigonometric functions, we have the following formulas. Derivative of sine x is cosine x. Derivative of cosine is negative sine. Derivative of tangent is secant squared. Derivative of secant is secant x tangent x, or tangent x secant x. Derivative of cosecant is negative cosecant cotangent. Derivative of cotangent is negative cosecant squared. We take note that all trigonometric functions, let's get our pen. All trigonometric functions starting with letter C. Ito yun, si cosine, si cosecant, and si cotangent have their derivatives negative. Okay? Yan. Kung bakit na meron tayong derivation nun, di ba? Maraming mga sites presenting the derivation of these formulas. Okay. So, these two are related. Yan. Tapos si tangent naman, tsaka si cotangent, sila naman yung related to each other, yung formula. Derivative ng tan is secant squared. Derivative ng cotangent, negative cosecant squared. Tapos ito naman, sila naman yung related. Yan. Again, we can write this as secant x, tangent x. So, itong dalawa naman na to, sila yung related with each other. Okay. So let's have this example. Yan. By the way, instead of x, pwede naman ding yung ating angle for the trigonometric function is a function of x, just like this u here. So parang gagamit tayo ng chain rule, no? So we differentiate the sine function, that's cosine of that u. Kaya lang meron pa tayong differentiable function dito sa loob. That's why we multiply by the derivative of that u with respect to x. So the same goes for the cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant. We differentiate them the usual way. So cosine, di ba, negative sign. Si tangent, secant squared. Cotangent, negative cosecant squared. Secant, secant u, tangent u. Ito negative cosecant u, cotangent u. Pinipreserve muna natin yung u. Yan, parang yan yung g of x natin sa chain rule. Okay? So, pinipreserve muna natin siya following the formula. So, dinifferentiate muna natin si f of x, no? Or si f of g of x. Tapos, saka mo i-differentiate yung nasa loob, yung si u. So, yun yung multiplier natin. Another multiplier is the du over dx. Yan. Nawawala tong factor na to kapag x lang yung angle natin, no? Kasi derivative of x with respect to x is just 1. Yan. Kaya parang akala natin nawawala siya. Pero it's actually the same thing, no? This is the more general form. Okay, so let's have our example here. Suppose we have the derivative of sine 3x squared. Let's just place some parentheses para mas malinaw na we're applying the sine function for this entire angle. So this serves as our u, no? So ang magiging formula natin will be this one. Ang u natin is si 3x squared, this one, okay? So what we are going to do is apply the formula. So follow lang natin yung ating formula. That would mean cosine of that same u. Ayun yun, okay? Again, let's just place a grouping symbol here. Tapos, syempre, meron pang nakakalimutan yung derivative ng u with respect to x. So that means we need to include this factor. So importante yun, no? So what's the derivative of the u? Ang u natin, itong na-encircle natin na expression, derivative is 6x. Okay. So that means ang ating derivative ay 6x cosine of 3x squared. Pwedeng ganun yung pagkasulat sa kanya. And then for the second example, we have this cosine square root of x, no? So for that one, we applied this formula. So negative sine square root of x, that's our u. Our u is this one. Take note, this is our u. Okay. So ano nga yung derivative ng square root of x or x to the 1/2? Di ba yan yung 1 over 2 square root of x. Okay. Take note, you cannot cancel the square root of x. So, ganun lang po siya. Or pwedeng i-simplify, i-rationalize. That can be expressed as, so ang rationalized version nito will be negative square root of x over 2 sine, over 2x, sorry for that. If we rationalize, over 2x sine square root of x. Okay, that's another way of writing our answer there. Okay. And then for the third example, we have cotangent of sine x. Okay. Where is that formula? It's here. So negative cosecant squared. This serves as our u. Take note, this is not a product. This is of the form cotangent of u. Okay. Cotangent of u where this serves as our u. Okay. So that's negative cosecant squared of that same u. Tapos saka mo i-differentiate. Don't get too excited to differentiate what's the u, ha? So there's always the copying part pa of your angle. Okay? So negative cosecant squared of that angle u times the derivative of that u with respect to x. So that will be cosine x. Okay? Or pwedeng answer natin negative cosine x times cosecant squared sine x. Okay. Now for our next example, let's consider cosecant x squared. So ayun, by substituting x squared to our u, ayan yung ating formula. Tapos sa ating third factor, multiplier natin will be the derivative of x squared, which is 2x. Okay, so that's it for this set of derivatives. And to summarize, we have the following. Ayan. So please take note of the transformation. Nung nagkaroon tayo ng u, naging u yung ating variable, which is a differentiable function of x. Kino-consider natin na u is a differentiable function of x. We have this extra factor na nadagdag dun sa ating set of formulas. Okay. Now, let's consider naman the derivatives of inverse trigonometric functions. So, ito yung x version. Okay. So, again, ang related sa isa't isa ay yung derivative ng arcsine tsaka arccosine of x. Take note that for the derivative of arccosine, it's just the negative of this one. Okay. Kaya kahit ang i-memorize mo lang yung sa sine, sa tangent, at saka yung sa arcsecant. Okay? Kasi yung co-function nila, si cosine, cotangent, and cosecant is just the negative version. Okay? So, yung arctan, this is my favorite. It's just 1 over 1 plus x squared. Favorite ko siya kasi walang radical sign. Tapos, commutative pa kasi addition. Okay? Pwede maging x squared plus 1, pwede magbaliktad. Unlike yung subtraction, bawal magbaliktad kasi, di ba, 1 minus. Okay? So, ayun. Tapos, para madaling matandaan to, take note that tangent starts with letter T, which is similar to addition. Okay? Tapos, ito naman, para madaling matandaan, kung sakaling nagme-memorize ng formula, yan. Dito si arcsine, dito na lang kay arcsecant. Dito sa arcsecant, yan, yung ating minus 1 is actually the second term. Yan, second term, yung second. Kasi parang yung letter S nila, masasabi natin subtraction. Okay, so parehong may minus, no, na nasa loob ng radical. Kaya lang ito yung 1 is the second term. Okay, so ibig sabihin, arcsecant siya. Take note, may extra factor pa doon na absolute value of x. Okay? Tapos yung arcsine naman, yung arcsine, yung I na to is similar to 1. Yan, meaning yung 1 dito na ating katulad dito sa arcsecant, dito naman siya yung first term. First term. Yan, parang yung I dun sa sine, arcsine. Okay, so ano lang yon, parang mga mumunting ano lang, ways para madaling matandaan yung formulas. Okay? So ito naman yung U version niya. Okay? So nasan kaya yung du over dx dito? It's actually in here. Yan. So instead of expressing that as du over dx, yun yung u prime natin. Okay? So ayun yung mga u primes natin. Kaya ito, silang dalawa yung related to each other. Silang dalawa yung related to each other. Take note that instead of x kanina, naka-u tayo ngayon. Kaya differentiable function, that's why instead of 1 on the numerator, kanina 1 lang yung numerators nila, oh. Diba puro 1 or negative 1? Yan. Dito, ang numerators na natin, yung u prime or the du over dx. Okay? So, yun. Naka-spell out lang yung arcsine, arctan, arcsecant, etc. Okay, let's proceed to our examples. Let's consider our y prime in number 1. So, arcsecant, ano nga yung formula natin? So, considering this is our u, ayan. Ayan. So, formula recall muna tayo, no? So, ang y prime natin, pag arcsecant, di ba, meron kang denominator dun sa baba, tapos you have the absolute value of that u, absolute value of 2x plus 1, which is actually not necessary anymore kasi pagka square root na ganito, we're taking the principal root naman. Okay. Tapos, sa denominator, we have the square root of the u squared minus 1. So, pag in-square natin to, mawawala lang yung radical. So, that means you have 2x plus 1 minus 1. So, the 1 minus 1 will cancel out. Diba? Yung formula recall natin again, u prime over absolute value of u over square root of u squared minus 1. U squared, nawala yung radical. Ito siya. Minus 1. Kaya yun, mag-cancel. Okay? Anyway, what about the derivative of that? So, take note that for the derivative of square root of u, yan, parang ganun siya. Parang ito yung mayroong kang inner u pa dun sa u mo, kunwari, no? Or v, no? Ibahin naman natin. Sige, let's consider a v. Square root of v, where v is a function of x. Diba? Lalagay natin dito 2 square root of v times the derivative of that. Okay? So dito gawin din natin nun, ano? So we have this is our v rather. So we have 1 over 2 square root of 2x plus 1. Okay? Tapos, di ba parang kinopya mo lang siya, ayun siya ulit sa denominator. Tapos whatever is the derivative of that, yun yung lalagay natin sa taas. So derivative is 2. Okay? And that will just cancel out. Okay? So ayun, take note that you have a 2x, square root of 2x plus 1 there and a square root of 2x plus 1 here which can go together. So ibig sabihin, mawawala lang yung ating square root symbol. So matitira sa taas is just 1. Tapos 2x plus 1 ka na lang sa baba multiplied by square root of 2x. This is your y prime. Ayun, medyo naging neat na siyang tingnan. If you are still the OC type, gusto mong rationalize that this will be square root of 2x over 2x plus 1 times 2x. Okay. Now for the next one, we have y equal to arctan. No? This is now a quotient. So mag-apply tayo ng quotient rule. Y prime equals, ito yung may low d high, high d low, minus, low d high minus high d low over law squared. Law squared is 1 plus x to the 4th squared. So dun tayo sa low d high. So ang low natin is 1 plus x to the 4th. Yan. D high. So, ang derivative ng high, ano nga yung derivative ng arctan? Ayan, yan yung favorite natin. Di ba? Yan yung u prime over 1 plus u squared. Okay. Ayun. So, ibig sabihin, kung ito yung u natin, yan, arctan of u prime is 2x. Okay. Tapos, we have 1 plus. Ano yung u squared? So, if you are going to square that, that will be x to the 4th. Hala, may magka-cancel. Yehey, no? Minus high d low. So, you have arctan of x squared. Yan. Multiplied by, ito yung high, d low. So, what's the derivative of your low? This one is 0 plus 4x cubed. So, just have to write here 4x cubed. Okay. So, magka-cancel to, tsaka ito. So, you just have 2x minus, iayos na lang natin to. Let's write it as 4x cubed multiplied by arctan of x squared. All over 1 plus x to the 4th quantity squared. Okay, that's for our first two examples. Let's have our next two. Ayan. You can always pause the video if you still want to absorb what I've been saying. This time we have a product, no? So product rule applies, no? So derivative of a product gives us a sum of products, okay? So we copy our cosine of x minus 1 and then differentiate this, no? This is your second, no? So yung square root na naman, so ang derivative niya, di ba 2 times that, no? So 2x minus x squared. Tapos yung derivative nung nasa loob, yung radicand, derivative of that becomes the numerator. That will be 2 minus 2x. Okay, plus, you now copy this. That's 2x minus x squared times the derivative of the first factor. So derivative ng our cosine nga, that will be negative u prime, considering this is your u. Okay. All over square root of 1 minus u squared. Okay? So, ayun, negative. Mamaya na yung u prime muna natin. 1 square root of 1 minus u squared. So, if you are going to square the x minus 1, you have a square of the binomial. So, that will be x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay? Tapos, ano ba yung derivative nitong u na to? Eh, di ba 1 lang naman? So, 1. Okay. So, ayun, you can actually simplify this. 1 minus the 1 here will cancel out. So, you're actually left with negative x squared plus 2x. So, magiging square root of negative x squared yan plus 2x, which is actually this same expression. Okay? Diba? 2x minus x squared lang din. So, that means this and this will cancel out. Diba? Parehas lang sila eh, no? Ito ay paglilinaw na sila ay same-same lang. Okay? So, ayun, ano pa yung pwedeng mag-cancel? Here, the 2 will cancel out. So, dividing this by 2, this will just give you 1 minus x. Okay, so the final answer for number 3 will be 1 minus x multiplied by our cosine. Ay, sorry for that. Hala, where is that? Ayun. Anyway, 1 minus x, our cosine of x minus 1. Sana magkasya. Let me erase my scratch work. Okay. And then plus 1 plus supposedly plus negative 1. So let's just have minus 1 all over. Wala na pala. Sorry for that. Kasi nga ay product rule. Ay, yung first term lang natin, we forgot the, sorry for that, we forgot the numerator at the denominator of the first product natin. Okay, so meron siya denominator pa pala na square root of 2x minus x squared. Okay. Tapos sa second term naman natin, minus 1 na lang. Okay. So that's for the derivative of the number 3. Okay, now for number 4, ln function. Naku, wala pa tayong ln. So babalikan natin to ha. May utang tayo dyan. So ln of r cotangent of square root of x. Okay. So bago tayo mag-ln function, puntahan muna natin yung exponential functions. So pakilala ko sa inyo yung favorite kong derivative. Derivative of e to the x with respect to x is just equal to e to the x. Favorite ko siya kasi yan yung function aside from y equals 0 whose derivative is equal to itself. Okay? Pero kapag yung exponent mo ay hindi, di ba sa mga trigonometric functions tsaka inverse trigonometric functions, yung nagiging u doon yung angle or yung sa arc sign yung mga values no ng arc ng trigo values. Dito yung exponent naman yung nagiging u. Okay? So another version will be this. So meron ka na namang additional factor. Ito yung u prime na naman na nagiging extra factor. Parang chain rule natin. Okay? So for example, if you have e to the sine x, if you get the derivative of that, there's always the copying part. Ayun, di ba? Kukopyahin mo muna siya, pero i-multiply mo pa with the derivative of your exponent, which is cosine x. Okay, there's always the copying part first. Yan yung e to the u mo. Okay? Ito, kung ano lang yung given, kopya siya lang. Di ba? Si e to the x. Parang x, x. So, dito naman x. Kanina x. Ito x. What is the difference? Dito you have a constant being raised to x. So, yung constant na to can be equal to 2, 3, 5, 7. No? So, positive number. Okay? Mga exponential functions natin. So, meron kang copying part pa din, just like the e here. Kaya lang meron kang extra factor na ln a. Dito nawala yung ln mo kasi ln of e is just 1. Okay? Parang meron kang ln of e, kaya lang that becomes just 1. Okay? So, this one is more general. Okay? Ayan. So, for example, if you have 5 to the x, that will just be copy the 5 to the x. Ayun. Tapos meron kang ln of 5. Okay? So, yung a mo, dalawang beses mo sinusulat as a base and then yung isa kasama ni ln. As a base, kasama ni ln. Okay? Yung special version niya, yung a to the u. Okay? So, yun pa rin yung a to the u. Yun, copy, paste. Nandun pa rin yung ln a, kaya lang you have your extra factor. Okay? So, if you have here 5 raised to tangent of x, yan. So, meron kang u as the tangent x, no? So, copy, paste. Tapos, ln of 5. Tapos, derivative of tangent x, second squared x. Okay. So, please take note of those formulas. Now, for our logarithmic functions, say we have this. Yan. So, ito naman yung ln of x, nagiging fraction lang siya. So, whatever is yung nandito sa kasama ni ln, parang punta lang siya sa baba. Okay? Tapos, kapag yun ay function of x, say u, this is u, ln of u. So, yan. Kunwari, ito yung u mo. Okay? So, you have the derivative of your u, where u is a function of x with respect to x. That will be 1 over u. Kaya lang, yung derivative ng u with respect to x, that will be your times u prime. So, lagay na lang natin siya sa numerator. Kasi 1 times u prime is u prime. Yan. So, lumalabas, if you have this, ito lang yung ating magiging formula. Yan. So, these are just the same. So, pag meron ka namang log to the base a of x, parang meron ka pa rin 1 over x. Ito din. Kaya lang since you have here, ang base mo, understood base is e. Dito, meron kang a. Diba kanina multiplier natin is ln a. Dito, may multiplier ka pa rin kaso nasa baba si ln a. Okay? So, let's have an example. Yan. Kunwari, meron kang derivative of log of say 8 base log to the base 8 of x with respect to x. So the derivative of that will be 1 over x times ln of 8. Yun. So yung 8, yung ating constant, okay, na nasa base. Okay. So for example naman dito, you have u here, okay? So log of derivative kunwari of with respect to x of log of log to the base 5, favorite si 5, ano? Say of arc sine x. Ayan. So, di ba ang formula natin, yung function of x, lagay lang natin sa baba. So, 1 over arc sine of x. Tapos, ln of 5. Ayan. Kinopya mo lang yung function tsaka yung ln. Tapos, kung ano yung derivative, nasa taas. No? Ano yung derivative ng arc sine? Di ba? Yan yung 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. So, this will be 1 over, pwedeng ln 5, square root of 1 minus x squared times arc sine of x. Okay, so ganun lang po. Okay, so ayun yung ating mga formulas. Take note of those. Another set of examples. Kunwari meron kang ganito, ln of tangent x. Let's just erase some markings that we have. Okay. Ayan. So in that case, tangent x serves as your u, no? So anong gagawin natin? Magiging, let's consider our laser pointer. This one is your f of x or your u. Yan. Fraction. Ready mo yung fraction mo. So the tangent x goes down. Andun siya sa baba. Yan. Copy mo lang muna siya. Tapos you differentiate that. No? So sabi dun sa second factor, you differentiate. Kaya lang since 1 yung multiplier, di ba? It's like placing it on the numerator lang. Okay? So you get the derivative of that by differentiation process. So derivative ng tan is second squared x. Using your identities, di ba? Pwede pang masimplify yan further and that will just be equal to second x cosecant x. Pwede nating i-prove yun using identities. Okay. So let's proceed to our next example. Say you have log of e to the x to the base 2. What is the derivative of that? Let's erase the markings. Okay. So tingnan natin sa ating formula. Sabi sa formula natin, ito lang yung lalagay natin sa denominator. So ano yung ating f of x? Si e to the x. Tapos ln of this base. So ln of 2 yun. Tapos ano yung lalagay natin sa numerator? Whatever is the derivative of this, no? Ano yung derivative ba ng e to the x? Kasi ito yung parang f of x mo or your u. Diba? 1 times that is just f prime of x. So, ito yung f of x natin eh. No? So, derivative is e to the x. So, magka-cancel lang yung e to the x. So, you're left with 1 over ln of 2. Yun. Now, let's differentiate this. Ano kaya yung kaibahan ng derivative nitong dalawang to, no? So, tingnan po natin sa ating left side. Anong gagawin natin? Apply natin yung sine derivative ng sine function. So, we get cosine of x squared times the derivative of this u, which is 2x. Okay, so ito po yung ating entire function. Whereas this one, meron kang sine x, everything to the second power. Dito yung x lang yung nire-raise natin sa second power. So, before you get to the derivative of sine function, apply muna natin si chain rule. Yung bababa mo yung exponent, di ba? Kasi it's just a function raised to a power muna, di ba? So, baba mo yung exponent na 2, tapos copy si sine x, raised to the 1, tapos si cosine x. Saan nanggaling yung cosine x? Sa derivative ng base mo na sine x. So, derivative of sine x is cosine x. So, it pays to know your formulas. And this one is an identity. This is a double angle identity, and that's equal to 2 sine 2x. 2 sine x cosine x is just sine 2x. So, may difference yung kanilang derivative. Yan. By the way, another way of writing this is 2x cosine of x squared. So, magkaiba talaga, no? Anyway, let's get to the second example. Here you have cosine of x squared plus 5. Dito, cosine of quantity x squared plus 5. What's the difference? So, nausog lang yung, nagkaroon lang ng grouping symbol, magkaiba na, no? Kasi dito, si x squared lang ang ina-applyan mo ng cosine. Dito, si x squared plus 5. So, this is a sum of two functions. So, meaning you get the derivative of this plus you get the derivative of that. Okay? So, you have cosine. Ano ba yung derivative ng cosine? That's negative sine of x squared times derivative ng x squared, di ba? 2x. Eh, derivative ng 5, 0 na. Okay? So, stop na tayo dito. Pero dito, negative sign of this u, this is your entire u, times derivative of that same u, which is 2x pa din. Okay? So, ayun yung kanilang respective derivatives. Okay? What about this one? You have e to the tan x plus 1. Here, e raised to the exponent tangent x plus 1. Okay? So, ito yung plus 1 nakababa. Ito kasama siya sa exponent. So, term by term ito, no? So, differentiate muna natin ito. That's copy paste, no? 'Di ba? Yan yung e to the u part. So, copy, tapos saka mag-differentiate sa exponent, that's second squared x plus 0. Ito din, copy paste. So, e to the tan x plus 1 times derivative of the exponent na nagsisilbing u natin, that will be second squared x. Okay. So, ayun, let's see our next example. Ito yun, parang similar to our nabitin na example a while ago. You have ln of arctan of 2x. Ito naman arctan of ln of 2x. Okay. So, papaubaya ko sa inyo kanina, no, na assignment nyo. No? Let's see this one, ln of arctan. Kuha tayo ng ating pen. Let's choose another pen. Say this blue na lang. This is an ln function. So sabi sa ln, di ba, ang formula niya is a fraction. ln of u, so ito ay laging lalabas na nasa baba. Tapos, kung ano yung derivative niya, yun yung nasa taas. So ang derivative ng arctan is 1 plus, di ba? If this is your u, that will be 1 over 1 plus u squared times u prime. So ito yung, kung ito yung u mo, ang, di ba, madi-differentiate pa natin siya. So 1 plus your u squared will be 4x squared. So yung u, focus tayo sa u. Tapos derivative of that is 2. Okay, so simplifying this is 2 over quantity 1 plus 4x squared times arctan of 2x. Yan, kung may pagka-OC, lagyan natin ng parenthesis. Okay, so dito naman tayo sa kabila, y prime here. Arctan, yung ating function, ito yung ating g of x, parang f of g of x. Okay, so formula for the arctan, di ba? Fraction din yun, no? ito yung nagsisilbing u mo. Arctan of u, meron ka muna sa baba na 1 plus that u squared. So you have ln of 2x quantity squared. Okay? Tapos dito ka na mag-focus. What about the derivative of that? So, derivative ng ln is fraction na naman. So, lagay itong katabi ni ln, lagay sa baba. Tapos, whatever is the derivative nung kalalagay mo lang, you place it on the numerator. Okay? Derivative of 2x is 2. Yan. You check on your formulas. So, the 2's will cancel out. And the x can be combined sa baba. So, you have 1 all over x, quantity 1 plus ln of 2x, quantity squared. Yan. Okay, so ayun po ang ating mga derivatives. I hope you are ready for this time for questions. 3 questions lang po for our practice. What is the f prime of x given this f of x? Okay, fast forwarding our timer. Let's have our f prime of x. We have for our first term, so term by term, no, cosine of 3x squared. Kaya lang madi-differentiate pa ito. Derivative of 3x squared is 6x. Okay. Dito naman sa pangalawa, derivative ng log ay isang fraction. So, copy to, copy-paste. Tapos, meron tayong ln of 3. Okay. Tapos, ano yung derivative ng sine x squared? That will be cosine of x squared. Tapos, meron pang derivative si x squared, di ba? 2x. Yun. Pumasok tayo ng pumasok sa loob, di ba? That sine u, ito naman yung naging u mo kapag nag-focus ka. So, derivative ng sine u is cosine u times your u prime. Okay, so that's it. Hope you got that one correctly. Let's proceed to question number 2. Find f prime of x given this f of x. Okay, fast forwarding our timer. Again, you can always pause the video if you want longer time answering. I strongly encourage you to answer using your scratch paper. So f prime of x will be using the chain rule for the first term. We have 12, babase exponent, tapos tangent x copied, raised to 12 minus 1, that will be 11 times the derivative of that base, which is second squared x. Okay. Plus, dito naman tayo, ang gagamitin nating formula, yung a to the u. O, yun yung may copy-paste, no? So, copy-paste. Tapos, ln of that base, 12, multiplied by the derivative of this exponent, which is second squared x. Ayan. So, you notice second squared x is a common factor. So, pwedeng ilabas yun. Ayan. So, second squared x. Actually, yung 12 pwede rin naman. Kaya lang, baka malito, no? Okay, so you have here 12 times tangent x to the 11 plus, dito naman, you have ln of 12 times 12 raised to tangent x. Ay, sorry. Okay. So that's it for number 2. Now let's have number 3. What is f prime of x given this f of x? Okay, fast forwarding our timer. Let's have f prime of x here. Formula po, no? Ano pa yung formula ng arcsecond? Ay, x lang naman to. So, 1. Tapos, yan yung may absolute value of x. Tapos, square root of x squared minus 1. Plus, dito naman, gamit tayo ng chain rule. So, we have negative 5 second of x. Negative 5 minus 1 will be negative 6. Thus, derivative ng second x, di ba? That will be second tangent. No? So, second x, tangent x. We can actually combine these two seconds, no? So, magiging negative 6, tapos ito understood exponent is 1. Ayan. So, magiging second x to the negative 5 lang. Okay? So, we have 1 over absolute value of x, square root of x squared minus 1, plus minus 5. We can write it as minus 5. Tapos, second x raised to negative 5 times tangent x. Okay, so that's it for number 3, or the last question. So I hope you got 3 out of 3 in this set of exercises. So to end our presentation, it is not knowledge but the act of learning, not possession but the act of getting there, which grants the greatest enjoyment. So have a good day. God bless you.